Hi, it's Kev, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to explain to you how you can improvise in all keys using one scale pattern. Okay, and when I say all keys, I mean all keys, major and minor. So using one scale pattern, which sounds like a bit of a tall order, but let me show you what I mean. Okay, the pattern we're going to use for the demonstration is the A minor pentatonic pattern and the C major pentatonic pattern. So let me show you the A minor pentatonic pattern that we're talking about. Okay, it's one of the most familiar patterns to, it's one of the most common patterns that guitarists use. Okay, this is the A minor pentatonic pattern 1. Okay, and here we go with C major pentatonic pattern 5. Now, I played A minor pentatonic pattern 1 and I played C major pentatonic pattern 5. Okay, let me explain what that's on about, and I'll also explain how I'm going to make these two patterns feel like one pattern, and hopefully this will make things easier for you when you're improvising. There's basically 5 patterns for the minor pentatonic and there's 5 patterns for the major pentatonic, and these different patterns are used to map each of the relevant scales out over the entire guitar neck. There's 5 minor pentatonic patterns. This A minor pentatonic pattern that I just showed you was pattern 1 of 5. Okay, there are 5 major pentatonic patterns, and this C major pentatonic pattern that I showed you was pattern 5. And the real important thing to understand is that the two patterns look very similar. Physically they are very similar, notes wise they are very similar. In fact, they share the exact same notes. The A minor pentatonic scale consists of the notes A, C, D, E and G, and the C major pentatonic scale consists of the notes C, D, E, G and A, which are exactly the same notes in a different order. It's kind of like saying 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then saying 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1. Same notes, different order. Okay, so to keep this idea simple and to allow us to play in any key, major or minor, let's look at it like this. Ignoring the notes that are in A minor pentatonic pattern 1 and C major pentatonic pattern 5, the important thing is that the pattern 1 and the pattern 5, the pattern 1 of the minor and the pattern 5 of the major are very similar physically. Okay, so all we have to do is this: we turn the two into one pattern, and this is how we do that. Rather than playing from the root note to the root note with each of the patterns, we're just going to play all the notes that are in the box. Okay, make that a little bit more clear. When we play A minor pentatonic, instead of playing from the note of A and ending on the note of A, instead I'm going to play from the note of A all the way up to the note of A, but I'm also going to include the note of C. Okay, because that's a note that is in the box. Okay, the box that I'm in being 5 to 8, that's the zone that I'm kind of playing in. That's what I mean by the box. Rather than ending on the note of 5, the note of C, which is the A on the top string, that note is in the minor pentatonic scale. Okay, it's used there, and it's here, so we can use it here. Okay, the only reason we didn't use it previously is because we specifically ended the scale or peaked the notes on the note of A, so that the root note was heard first and last. Okay, from an improvising point of view, when there's a backing track playing a sequence that's in the key of A minor, okay, the need to emphasise that root note isn't as important because the backing track will do that for us. The fact that the backing track is playing A minor or giving out the vibe of A minor means that we don't have to constantly make our highest note be the note of A or our lowest note be the note of A in order to sound like A minor, because those notes will react with the track and sound like A minor anyway. The exact same concept applies to the C major. So this is the pattern that we're left with. Okay. more importantly, it can be minor or major. And this means you're left with one pattern that you can turn into major or minor just by understanding where your root note is. Before we just finalise that to get that point across, let's just hear the scale pattern played over a backing track, well, over two backing tracks. We'll do a minor and a major, and we'll hear, because I know this can sometimes get a little confusing, but it makes a lot more sense when you hear it. The one pattern can sound minor or major. Let's give it a go. We'll play over an A minor first, and then we'll play over C major. Exact same pattern, effectively two scales. Here we go. So we're basically left with one pattern that fits all, major or minor. The important thing to remember is this: even though the patterns are the same, you need to understand where your root note is purely for putting yourself into the right position when you're in the key. We're going to visualise that first finger starts on the note if it's a minor, little finger starts on the note if it's a major. In other words, if a backing track is in the key of A minor, then you put your first finger to the note of A, and then you can play the pattern and you will be in A minor. If the track was in A major, you would use the same pattern, but you would shift your little finger down to the A, and that would give you a major pentatonic pattern, but in the key of A. Likewise, just as in the one position it gave us A minor and C major, this theory will apply to any position, any key. Okay, this example could be A minor. It could also be C major by using my little finger as the starting point, or the visualization of the starting point. I can still use this lower note. A minor. Find the note of A, put my first finger there because it's minor. C major. Find the note of C, but put my little finger there because it's major. Okay, if I did that in B minor, I'd need the note of B on the 6th string. It's at 7. Okay, there's the note of B. First finger minor, so if I'd wanted B major, so take the note of B, take the same physical pattern, but I shift my little finger to be in the position of the B, and now play here. So I hope that made sense to you. One pattern that can let you play in any key, major or minor. Obviously there's lots of other patterns, there's lots of other scales, there's a lot more complex ideas you can put into improvising, but this is one simple idea that should let you play pretty much to anything. You can jam to any situation with a little understanding. Best thing to do, watch the video again, take it all in, and then set about, if you don't know already, learning the notes on the 6th string. Okay, if you learn the names of the notes on the 6th string, you know where all the different keys are. Okay, every key possible is available on that 6th string, and then you just put your first finger to the note if you want it to be minor, put your little finger to the note if you want it to be major. Okay, good luck with that.